Okay, so looks like we're going to be deep diving into the UK skilled worker visa changes coming up in 2024.
Yeah.
You sent over a ton of information here, looks like.
Yeah, it's quite the stack.
Yeah.
A lot of changes coming down the pipe, so I think...
Planning on making a move?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, well, let's jump right into it then.
Yeah.
One of the things that really kind of jumps out at me from what I'm seeing here, the source material you provided, is salary requirements seem to be a pretty significant change.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting April 4th, 2024, that minimum salary is jumping from £26,200 to £38,700.
Whoa, okay, that's a big jump.
That's, for most applicants, that is a pretty significant increase.
What's the thought process behind that? What's driving that?
Yeah, so the UK government's aligning the minimum salary with the country's median wage, as defined by the new Standard Occupational Classification system.
Okay.
SOC 2020 for short. And they're essentially saying if you want to work here, you need to be earning what a typical UK worker in that same role would be making.
So essentially, they're trying to make sure that it's not undercutting the wages of folks that are already there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And for people who are already in the UK on a skilled worker visa, there is a bit of a bridge there.
Okay.
They'll only need to meet a transitional salary of £29,000 when switching employers or extending their visa until 2030.
Gotcha.
But for new applicants, it's that 38,700 mark that is going to be crucial.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty big difference. I mean, that could make things especially challenging, I would think, for smaller businesses and companies that maybe don't have the as much wiggle room in their budgets or anything like that.
It's a valid concern. This increase could definitely give larger corporations an edge.
Yeah.
When it comes to recruiting, and it'll be interesting to see how those smaller businesses adapt.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see more creative compensation packages or a shift in the type of roles they look to fill.
Right. Yeah, that's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about salary being one of the big ones.
Yeah.
But you said there were some other changes too, so let's dive into those.
Yeah.
What about the list of eligible jobs? Are there any big changes there?
Yeah, actually, they've expanded the list, especially in sectors where the UK is feeling a labor crunch.
Which sectors specifically?
Construction and healthcare are two of the big ones.
Interesting.
So think bricklayers, carpenters, those hands-on construction roles.
Okay.
And in healthcare, they have added care workers and nursing assistants.
Gotcha.
It seems like the government is trying to be very targeted in addressing specific workforce needs.
It makes you wonder, though, doesn't it, if you're relying so heavily on workers from overseas to come in and fill these very critical roles.
Right.
Are you really solving the problem, or are you just kind of shifting it somewhere else?
That's a great question, and one that we'll have to see play out over time. You know, will the higher salaries attract enough UK residents to fill these jobs?
Right.
Or will it create a bottleneck somewhere else? And how will this impact wages and working conditions in these fields over time? There's a lot to think about.
Lots to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing that I noticed here was this shortage occupation list. And actually, maybe it's not a list anymore, but let's talk about that. What's going on with that?
Right. So the old shortage occupation list, which offered a 20% salary discount for certain in-demand jobs.
Gotcha.
That's gone.
Okay.
And in its place, we have this immigration salary list.
Okay.
So not only is that general salary threshold higher,
right,
but that extra break for shortage occupations is gone too.
So for someone who is maybe on the fence or who would have qualified under the old system,
right,
that's a double whammy.
Yeah.
You know, higher salary requirement and loss of this discount.
Absolutely.
Could be a deal breaker.
It significantly raises the bar for entry for people in certain fields. Even if they are on that expanded list of eligible occupations, it's like, we need you, but you better be highly skilled and highly paid.
Right. Okay, so not all sunshine and roses for folks looking to move over to the UK.
Yeah.
But I did see also that there's some mention of streamlining the application process. So maybe that's a little bit of a good news.
Absolutely. The Home Office is pushing for faster processing times.
Okay.
Some applications potentially being processed in just 4 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Plus, they're moving toward more digital services, making the whole process more user-friendly.
Well, that's got to be a win for anybody who's ever had to go through the old system.
Absolutely.
Because it's...
Yeah, it can be a real headache.
Yeah, it can be a pain.
Yeah, so while the requirements are getting tougher, the process itself might be becoming less daunting.
Okay, so a silver lining there, potentially.
Right.
All right, so let's recap here because we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Higher salary requirements, an expanded list of eligible jobs, but no more shortage occupation discount.
Yeah.
And then a streamlined application process, kind of a mixed bag.
It is. And I think what we're seeing here is the UK trying to be very deliberate in shaping its future workforce.
Right.
They're aiming for a specific kind of skilled worker, one who's highly qualified and commands a high salary.
So it'd be really interesting to see how this impacts not just individuals, but, businesses in the UK and just
Absolutely.
the economy overall.
Yeah. And for anyone listening who's thinking about applying for this visa, I'd say do your research.
Absolutely.
Understand all the new requirements thoroughly and really see how they apply to your specific situation.
Yeah, this is just a starting point. So,
exactly. This is just a jumping off point.
Yeah. Take it from here, folks, and good luck.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.